Right, so introductions for this evening. You probably know me anyway. I'm Michelle. I'm one of the County TV advisors for Lincolnshire Scouts, and the other person who's on the call this evening, who's doing all the techie side of it, is Kev, who again is one of the other County TV advisors for the county. So let's take each section as it comes then. We'll move on first to the physical section. So the main change to this section is that it can now be done at home as opposed to joining in with group activities, therefore meaning that participants are not at risk and can continue the section. Participants can change their activity for this section by going onto their eDofE profile, and as their DofE leader, you may have to authorise this change for them. It's important, though, that we always remember that I know we're doing things differently, but we still need to ensure that we're following POR and scouting rules. We've mentioned DofE profiles and changing things. Please let us know if you struggle with that or need any additional help, and we can organise another session similar to this and to take you all through how to do it. So if we go on, we've got some ideas that have come through for alternative ideas for doing the physical section. It is still important, though, that if they are changing and doing things differently, that they make sure that they either download the activity section log or keep their own log as evidence. As you can see, there's lots of ideas on there. I'm not going to read all these out. I'm sure you can just have a few minutes to read them. And like we said, this is going to be recorded, so it will be there at a later date for you to go back and look at these again. I'm sure there are lots more. I'm sure there's some other ideas that young people and yourselves have come up with for this section, and it'd be fantastic to hear about the different ways in which your participants have been continuing with their awards. We'd love to be able to interview some of them to share across the county, not just for other participants, but for adults like yourselves too. If you've got any young person in mind, then just drop us a line at the usual DofE email. Okay, so moving on to the skills section. Again, exactly the same as physical, no real changes there. So for this, there was loads and loads of alternative ideas. All these are not only around on different DofE approved user sites, but they're actually on DofE of a different site as well. So if you want to go and check even more out, you can do. I mean, we've had to go on to multiple slides to show you all these. So hopefully there'll be some here that you can take back to your participants to inspire them to continue. And it might be something just that actually tweaks an interest of theirs. So here we go, even more for you. Everything from virtual orchestras to Ignite hubs, online courses which are free. And again, like we said, these will all be available for you afterwards as well to have a look at. Lots of people gardening at the minute and growing your own. Family tree. I like the idea of the family tree. Being a bit more creative in this one. But again, like we said, just make sure that you sense check it and it's not too off the wall. Cookery, again, lots of different things there, and well-being and mindfulness. I think that's a really important one, and perhaps something that we all need to be looking at as well as this situation continues. So as you can see, there's a huge range of ideas to choose from that hopefully will give some of the young people a little bit more of an oomph to want to carry on. And included in that, of course, you'll have seen is our own Scouts great indoor weekly activities. So if they've been taking part in that, then that is going to count for their skills section. Okay, so moving on to volunteering. A big difference here is that participants can now volunteer for family members, for example, by mentoring or coaching younger siblings. However, this should be more than a participant babysitting or just helping out with their usual chores. So just tidying their bedroom and emptying the washing machine now and again for mum doesn't really count as volunteering. But as with all DofE activities, they should be structured and help the participant to meet the benefits and outcomes of the volunteering section. So participants can choose to volunteer to help any family member, but we would suggest coaching or mentoring a family member, particularly younger siblings, as an activity which can easily be structured and help meet the outcomes of the section. This could include mentoring a younger sibling and helping them with their schoolwork or homework, coaching a sibling or another family member to learn an instrument or develop another skill, organising a sports session or arts and crafts session for someone they live with to participate in. Participants can plan their sessions using resources online and record what they do using their programme planner and activity log. All those links are actually available on the DofE website or through their eDofE login. If a participant wants to help another family member in a different way, then as their DofE leader, you'll just need to check it's suitable by ensuring it fulfills the aims of the section. And as with all DofE activities, an assessor can't be a family member, so that hasn't changed. Although they can now volunteer for a family member, the assessor still cannot be a family member. Okay, so some alternative ideas here for you to have a look at. If they for the volunteering, if they're not doing it within Scouting still, especially if they were young leaders before and they're not doing that on a regular basis at the moment. There is, some alternative ideas there. There's virtual volunteering. There's the digital personal safety campaign. There's the Missing Maps project. I like the idea of the Zooniverse. Okay, and there's some others as well. Interesting, if you look at the second one down, they could actually be preparing and planning future sessions for the section that they're young leadering in at the minute, for instance. And obviously these are just some ideas or different ideas to look at that might just help them progress through their award at the moment. Okay, so some of the other changes that have come out, and we've sort of like said about them changing activities. Participants can now change their section activities more than once. Time spent on the previous activity will still count towards the completion. Previously, participants could only do this once, However, due to the pandemic, the DofE know that many participants have already changed activities to something they can do from home. And they'll want to resume their original activity once social distancing limitations are lifted. As well as that, some activities participants are doing from home may also then not continue after normal life, helping with the coronavirus efforts in their community, that sort of thing. So they will need to find something new. So how do they change their activity? They need to go onto their eDofE account. And if they're going to change it, they'll need to use the revert to draft option and then resubmit their programme planner with their new activity. Once they've done that, understandably, like any section that they're doing, they'll also need to upload an assessor's report for each activity they've done onto their eDofE account. So if they're swapping backwards and forwards because of the situation we're in, they'll need an assessor's report for each of the activities, not just one to cover all. So if they were, for a physical section, if they were doing sort of football or running or something like that, and then they've swapped to Joe Wicks's workout regime and program that he does every day, then they'll need the two assessors reports. So moving on to the expedition section. So this really is, I guess, for a lot of us, the one where the big changes are and the one where it's going to affect us most once we're allowed to get back to face-to-face scouting and expeditions are given the green light. So DofE at Windsor have put together 4 ways to support the expedition section moving forward during the current COVID-19 situation. So the first one being expeditions with a difference. Now this does affect a small amount of scouting and scouting groups in Lincolnshire, not all of us. So for many years, participants who have additional needs and those doing their DofE in the secure estate have done a different type of expedition. This results in the same outcomes and benefits as a traditional expedition. It involves doing an expedition in limited space and completing a series of team challenges requiring both mental and physical skills. Before camping outside, for example, in school grounds for 1 or more nights. So DofE will publish resources to help us deliver this model of expedition for these participants when the government guidelines make it possible. So the second one up here is more expeditions at a different time of year. So if social distancing rules are in place until much later this year, DofE may need to support us to run expeditions in a much reduced time frame to support the 2020's new cohort of participants and those young people whose expeditions have been delayed. This is likely to be outside the usual expedition season, although it is worth noting that some DofE expeditions can always be run at any point of the year. So to reflect these circumstances, they will enable some rule changes. Firstly, the expedition assessor for silver and gold level can temporarily be known to the group, which is different from what it is normally. The rules around recommended environments will be relaxed, so participants don't have to leave their local area to complete an expedition, for example. Gold expeditions will be able to take place outside of wild country. At silver and gold level, practice expeditions and qualifying expeditions can be delivered back to back. Practical support to deliver expeditions will be available from DofE, including guidance to help run expeditions over the winter, reflecting the need to accommodate reduced daylight and colder weather. They're also considering how they can help us and approved activity providers find suitable indoor accommodation for their expeditions. Now, understandably, way up, go back one, Kev. Understandably, we have to wait for scouting to also let us know, and we need to make sure that obviously we keep on top of the scouting rules as well on that one. So moving on to the number 3. This is where they're going to help participants who can't do an expedition this year but wish to progress to the next level. So for those participants who simply won't have the chance to complete an expedition this year and want to progress from bronze to silver, 2 temporary rule changes have been introduced. Just note that this won't apply to those moving from silver to gold. At bronze level, participants who have completed their skills, physical and volunteering sections can achieve the 2020 DofE Certificate of Achievement and progress to silver. We'll talk about the DofE Certificate of Achievement in a few moments. This will be treated then as if they have completed their previous award level. This means they'll only have to complete 6 months of activity, not 12. Participants who do this will be able to use their silver practice expedition as their qualifying expedition at bronze, enabling them to achieve both their bronze and silver awards. So something different. The DofE at Windsor are also investigating the possibility of introducing an alternative experience to the expedition for participants later this year. If a suitable experience is developed, it will deliver the same learning outcomes as the expedition section, but in a format that enables participants to comply with social distancing rules. I know there's a lot to take in, but we'll open it up at the end for some questions. When expeditions are able to resume, silver and gold expedition assessors will temporarily be allowed to be known to the expedition group. Currently, expedition assessors for silver and gold level expeditions should be independent from the group. However, on a temporary basis, assessors will be able to be known to the group. This includes helping run the DofE group or supporting expedition training, although they must still be an accredited assessor. DofE hope that this will help groups more easily access the resources required to run the expeditions when they are able to resume, whilst maintaining the quality assurance measure of each expedition being assessed by a trained assessor. So we mentioned the 2020 DofE Certificate of Achievement. Windsor DofE headquarters want young people to be recognised for their amazing efforts and achievements, even if it's not possible for them to do an expedition, and therefore achieve their award this year. To this end, they will be launching a new accolade that recognises the fantastic accomplishments of these young people, the 2020 DofE Certificate of Achievement. For this year only, certificates will be issued to all participants who have completed their skills, volunteering and physical sections at bronze, silver or gold level, but haven't been able to do their expedition because of the pandemic. The accolade will be a formal recognition by the DofE of their dedication to their programmes and everything they've achieved through these 3 sections, as well as their resilience in coping with the unprecedented events this year. It's important to remember, like it says on here, that this update is specific to this year only. So, who's eligible for a certificate? The 2020 Certificate of Achievement will be granted to bronze, silver and gold participants who started in summer 2019 or later, have completed their physical, skills and volunteering section, but not their expedition section, and have had all those sections approved by their leader in EDV by the end of the year. Certificates will be available no later than July, so once we know we've got them, we'll let you know. So can participants who receive this certificate still go on to achieve their DofE award? The answer is yes. The expedition is a hugely valuable experience that develops vital skills and character, and they hope that most participants will still have the opportunity to achieve their DofE award when it is safe to do so. All young people who complete their skills, physical and volunteering sections will receive the 2020 DofE Certificate of Achievement, and if they go on to complete their expedition section at a later date, they will also achieve their DofE award. So just a little bit of thank you from us. Thank you for giving up your time this evening and for all that you are continuing to do for the young people in achieving their award. If there is anything that you'd like more information on from us after this session, please get in touch with Kev and myself through the usual channels on the DofE email. If you'd like more sessions in this style of format, different areas of the award, again, just let us know and we'll do our best to put something on for you. We'll capture your questions if there was any, as much as we can, and get the responses out to everybody. Hope it's been a useful session. What we'll do now is if Kev unmutes everybody, and then don't all shout at once, but if anybody's got any questions that they'd like to ask us, please do so. You can use the handy up thing if you like as well. So has anybody got any questions that they would like to ask us?
I can't unmute them. They'll have to unmute themselves if they want to speak.
Okay, if you'd like to speak, unmute yourself. Well, like I said, don't all speak at once.
Hi, it's Les here.
Hi, Les.
Hi. I wanted to ask, has there anything been said? I haven't seen anything about residential. I assume that we'll just have to wait until restrictions are lifted, but unlike expedition, I haven't seen anything, guidance towards residential for gold.
Yeah, we haven't had any guidance from residential side of things at the moment, and like yourself, I'm presuming that will just have to go on the back burner, a little bit like the expeditions, but that'll just have to go on the back burner until restrictions are lifted. I did have a good rummage round DofE with a difference today and couldn't see anything that was actually specific to residentials.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else got any questions for us?
So there's one question on the chat. Do we know if the participants are getting the same emails that we've been getting from the DofE office? I've not spoken to any participants, but Sarah's nodding ahead.
Sarah, do you want to unmute yourself? Are you?
Sorry, I was trying to work out how to unmute myself. So yeah, my very similar emails. So the last one he got was about volunteering for helping his family. So it's very similar, if not exactly the same.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I know lots of the information has been going out all over, so that's helpful to know that it's also going to participants as well. Thank you, Sarah.
I think they get it in a slightly different, more participant-friendly format than we do.
Great stuff. Anybody got anything else that they would like to ask us, or if I can make it any clearer? Sarah.
So James put on there about, can we put in the expedition plans on the chat? Yes, you can. So do we just submit it without a date then?
Put your planned date in there, but obviously it won't go ahead unless the restrictions have been removed.
Okay.
Because you'll still have to do your NaN form and all of that process anyway, and put dates on that paperwork. If you need to submit forms, then
we're coming straight back. Run!
Interesting. If you have to submit a green form or anything like that, obviously the DofE aren't going to process that just yet. So if you are doing an expedition where you need to submit that, it might be worth just hanging fire until you know definitely it can take place. But if it's just a bronze expedition going ahead in your local area, then yeah, put it through as if you normally would and there was nothing wrong. And then if we do get out of lockdown by the time your expeditions do take place, that's great. If we don't, obviously we'll assume the expedition's not going ahead and you'll update us with an updated timescale.
Les, I've just seen yours on chat on here about missing maps needing a supervisor. I'm not sure if anybody's done anything like this. I certainly haven't. So if anybody does have any feedback, then please get in touch with Les.
Yeah, I have got an email that came through today back from them. But yeah, in order to the participants do it, because I've got a couple that are interested, they need somebody who can then approve the maps that they've altered. And so they're looking, you need it suggests you need to talk to to the participants. It says you need to talk to your teacher or your supervisor. And that's how I know. But yeah, when I know, I'll let everybody else know then if I've got a format to release the information.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. If you could, Les, that'd be really helpful for everybody, I'm sure. Thank you. Irene.
Irene, yeah.
So if they're going to be doing some of these volunteering skills at home, how do they then get an assessor to assess them? Their family can't.
Hopefully they'll have kept a log, either an activity log or a diary, or taken some photos, that sort of thing. So they just need to basically keep kind of like a reflective diary or a log or something that says what they've been doing, how often they've been doing it, so that they can then sit down and talk with their assessor and talk through what they've been doing and how they've done it.
So you mean, so like one of us would then be saying, yeah, that's all right, then we'll be their assessor.
Yeah, absolutely. You could be their assessor. That's fine. Yeah, and just ask, it's just a case of asking them questions and that about it.
A lot of it will depend on what they're doing. So if it's a volunteering and they're helping out with a elderly neighbour or something during this, then that elderly neighbour could also be their assessor. Just get them to write a report or something about what they did and how much they annoyed them, etc., etc.
Okay.
I'm just checking the chat again, but I don't think there's anything else. No, and nobody else has their hand up. So unless there's any more.
Okay, one of the things we said was we talked about EDV and things like that, and we also talked about any further sessions that you would like. So has anybody got any ideas of further sessions that you would like us to put on for you?
I would say I would like somebody who could walk me through from a supervisor viewpoint on EDV. So there seems a few things that you could put on EDV through that, but I haven't been entirely successful in doing it in the past. And I've never, I've kind of picked it up as I've gone along, but in terms of that would be something, a route round from a supervisor point of view of EDV would be very useful for me. I don't know what other people think.
Sarah's nodding her head. That's great.
Well,
Yeah,
it's a fairly straightforward one to do in this kind of format. We can take you through a screen share with EDV running from a supervisor's perspective of putting something on or carrying out some kind of activity or activities on EDV.
Fantastic.
That's great.
I might have to get Will to do it though, if he's listening.
That's great. I know there was a lot of information up there. I know it's a whistle-stop tour. If anybody does want clarification on anything that we've talked about this evening, please get in touch with us. And like we said, as soon as more information comes out, we will get it out to you, because I know we're all frustrated. We all want to get out on the hills. We all want to get out doing expeditions. And so as soon as anything comes out, we will put it out to you so that you're as up to date as we are. So I hope you found it useful. And like I said, we'll try and do something like this again on a regular basis while we're still in this situation for you. Okay. So I'm going to stop recording now.
If you do come up with any other questions, feel free to email us. You might have to be a bit patient with some replies because we are both a bit hectic at the minute. Our normal jobs are still